tàcc yal na nga tàcc déwén ana xale yi cës tàccu leen mu neex na riir si tàccu doo am loxo ku si taxoon la doo dee ma demal ko la baan sama ginaar ngeen fa dee wax dolli ma wuy sama nday dolli ma ay lii lu mu doon nende da ngay nëbal xoolal bu yàggee neex ma demal ko la baan sama ginaar ngeen fa dee ma demal ko la baan sama ginaar ngeen fa dee may wax ak moom di wax ak moom nene na ma noppil dinaa wax ak moom ku yaa yokk mu mango doo ci maye doom yaay saay yaay saay xale bi yaay saay garaan bàyyi riisu bu riisu bul jege ni nga yàqoo xam naa la te xam naa la xam nga ma bul riisu te bul laal bul jege ma demal Colobane sama ginaar nen fa dee ma demal Colobane sama ginaar nen fa dee ma wax ak moom de wax ak moom ba ginaar ni ma noppi dina wax ak moom kuy ma yee ma xo doo sama doom yaay saay jéem ñëwal ki ngay daw la ki mooy caatu groupe bi daw la bu la neexee da ngay yëngu te maal ma dégg lu neex a neex ñëw la
yow Lamin Fay doomi bay bàjjen fii mooy sa maam yaa nga ñëw muy si yaay séeri Xadijatu naaw naa la yow Adama Saare Fatima li mooy si yaay yow Fatou ngi jaay doomu yaayu Abdou Ndiaye lay bëgg wéy Fatou ngi jaay ca London da ngay jigéen jumal góor yow nga wér di kër gi
Welcome everyone to the All High Schools reunion. This is Yamanjai with Bajan TV. The reason we're here today is we're trying to give back to the schools. So St. Augustine's and Joseph's, Gambia High and Newswood High School came together to do this reunion, and we're welcoming everybody. It's for a good cause. What we're trying to do is make a difference in the schools and also make a difference in the kids that are going to school right now. So let me go around and interview people and ask them how they feel about today. This is Alhaji Mahmoud, one of the organizing committee members of the All High Schools reunion. Alhaji, what do you have to say about this event today?
Thank you, Mahana Kontandrek. I mean, it's still too early in the evening, but we are hopeful that it would be a bigger turnout, and this is just the beginning of something great that would come out of this joint venture. So I'm really happy, and I want to just thank everybody for coming in.
Thank you, Alhaji. What is your name and what school do you represent?
I'm Rocky Savage. I'm with Gambia High School Alumni Network. So excited to be here tonight with us because this is a great event. We look forward to seeing everybody out. We look forward to having more stuff, events like this every year.
Thank you, Rocky. And what do you think about this event so far?
Well, this is an event that is well needed. It's an event that shows that everyone, as Gambians, we're coming together as one. We're starting to understand how important it is to work together. Joko, when you're Yobo Kana.
So let's keep moving. What is your name and what school do you represent?
Michael Nicole, St. Augustine High School, class of 96.
And this is Mike. He's part of the sports committee. So he's the person that put together the soccer team that beat everybody today. So you know we're the champions. We're about to win tomorrow.
Come and see us tomorrow in the finals. And we're going to win, and we're going to do it Saint's way.
We always lead and they follow. So let's go, Lago. This is my special uncle. This is Uncle Tijan Masane Sise of Saints Nation. This man, I love him dearly, and he's the power behind everything we're doing right now. So, Uncle Tijan, what do you have to say?
I am elated, and I am thrilled that you guys have taken the mantle of responsibility to work for Gambian education. This is unprecedented to bring all the schools together, but I must have to thank you. This was your initiative. I remember you calling me last year, Uncle Tijan, this is what we want to do. And the amount of hard work you have put to this night is commendable. That is why you are my favorite person in the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Uncle Tijan. We appreciate you. What's your name and what school do you represent?
Hi, I'm Our sister, and I'm from Gambia High. But not really from Gambia High. I started in St. Joseph, and I did my Form 1, and then later I transferred to Gambia High, and graduated in 90. What year did you graduate? 95. Then I graduated in 96. Okay, graduated in 96. I did my A-level. Graduated in 98. For my A-level.
She went to both schools.
So I have dual citizenship. citizenship. That's what I call it.
Thank you, Awa.
I'm glad to be here. You guys did a wonderful job.
Well, Paul, we want to thank you for coming here. Every time we have the event, you do come, waste your time, your resources, and your energy, and we appreciate you for everything that you've been doing. What do you have to say about this event so far?
Well, it's good to see people having fun, you know, especially if they have to go back to their high school years. And most importantly, they're trying to raise funds. And I think it's a good cause that everybody should support. I'm just hoping you guys are going to put it online so you can get more people involved.
Right.
But great initiative.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. So, that's a mixture of Sense, Muslim, Gambia High alumni. So welcome,
Pena, St. Joseph's.
and how about you? What school do you represent and your name?
Muslim High School to the fullest.
We have the hairdresser here, Anna Kamara, Gambia High School. Anna, what do you have to say?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I mean, it's nice and it's good to come together and have fun. Definitely, this is nice. This is a good initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lamin Jata Senegosin High School, class of 92. I think it's a great event and I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Lamin, this one is special because she didn't go to any of the 4 schools, but she's here supporting. So, thank you for coming. What's your name?
Yeah, Kamara, I went to South. But all my sisters and siblings went to Sense and Gambia High, so I came here to support.
This one here is a special guest from the Gambia, Lena Haidara. Introduce yourself.
Lena Haidara, Gambia High School.
Thank you, Lena.
Hey, I went to Muslim High School,
Class of?
86.
Wow, I was in primary too. We have a man here that everybody knows who he is. He doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to let him introduce himself and talk about this event. Mr. Jay, what do you think about this event today?
It's always a huge event. Anytime you come into Savannah Event Center, but not to mention that, but we're looking at the elite school, Gambia High, being part of this. That makes all the difference in the world. So I can see the success and the brilliance. But again, congratulations, it's a good attempt. Anytime one talks about bringing people together in a community, and you gotta look at it this way, we are an immigrant community. So when you bring people all over the place, and also what's the objective? Raise funds so that we can take it back home and rebuild those schools. Because at the end of the day, the foundation for a developed country is education. And what we are doing here is investing in education. So that makes a whole lot of difference. Again, congratulations to the organizers. The key is what the objective is. And I think that is relevant and important. Congratulations.
Thank you, Musa. Kinak boy Awa Lamin. Awa need an introduction. Awa, go ahead. Awa represents St. Joseph's basketball, represent the team of the Gambia. This is Awa Lamin. Awa, introduce us about this. Awa Lamin.
I graduated in 1993 and I went from 95 and I was one of the basketball players for female and I represented the Gambian for basketball and a little bit of the track and field.
Thank you, Awa. Much appreciated. What is your name and what school do you represent today?
Kevin for the Gambia High School, class of 94. It's a pleasure to be here. I think this is a very good occasion just for us to come together, put our hands together to help rebuild some of these high schools that we all started from. I think it's a very noble gesture. Hopefully we can get more participation from the other alumni and keep this going. So thank you all to the organizing committee for putting this together.
Thank you for your support. All right, this is Fatu Kurang, one of the organizing committee members of this All High Schools reunion. Fatu, what do you have to say about this event?
First and foremost, I just want to welcome the guests from out of state and saying thanks to everyone for attending. This is a really good event very important event because all we're trying to do is give back, trying to rebuild the schools in the Gambia. Thank you.
Thank you, Boss. Uncle Edie Judge, one of the elders of the community here in Atlanta. Uncle Edie, what do you have to say about this event?
Oh, well, just come to support my smudger body and everybody in them Gambia High School, like Nusrat and Ahmadi and Muslim, they contact like you support them, a little moment they do. That's right.
Thank you. What is your name and what school do you represent and the reason for you being here today?
My name is Laman and I'm at St. Augustine's High School and I'm here to represent my brother Abdurrahman Toure and receive an award for him. Thank you. I'm glad.
Thank you, Laman, and welcome. I'm Nana Dangaro Swat from Jajua. Kinak mu ngi jógee ba Gambia. Moom moo fi nekk mooy she's a niece of the late Manasila and she will be receiving the award on Manasila's family's behalf. Nanga def lan nga am pour wax tey si bés.
I'm just happy and grateful. Even though she's not here, I'm glad I could represent it for her. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. All right. Hi. What's your name and what school do you represent?
Well, my name is Yamai Boyan. I went to Ice High School, but of course, my husband George is Gambia High, so I'm representing.
You gotta represent Saints. No, that's not right. Saints all the way.
I'm all the way Gambia High.
Thank you so much for coming. What's your name and what school do you represent?
My name is Gordon Yai. I've represented Gambia High School. I graduated 1985.
Oh wow, that's good. I was in primary one when you graduated.
I know, 33 years ago.
That's awesome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting us.
I'm selling magazines.
Well, you can sell the magazine, but this is our sister. She's one of the organizing committee members as well, representing Muslim High School. Awa, what do you have to say today?
I am very excited. It looks positive. This is so much good energy. We are just looking up to the future because this is a start. This is a start. We just started. Ay xale yu doog a door lañ. Yàlla jàppale ñu tette ñu bañ aaga boo xam ne ñëpp dinañ ko waxandoo yi.
Amin waay.
Okay.
Hello, beautiful. Hi. What's your name and what school do you represent?
Hadi Cham. I represent both St. Joseph and Gambia High.
What do you have to say about the event today?
The event is fabulous. We're having a great time. Everybody looks great and amazing. I'm so excited to see everybody. It's really amazing.
Thank you for coming. What's your name and what school do you represent today?
My name is Tijan Jeng and I'm representing St. Augustine's High School.
No Gambia High today.
Once you are saint, you are never sinner. You know, so that's why I wonder St. Augustine should win everything, you know? Yeah, so the other day, everybody in St. Augustine so that we can win everything because we are number one and we'll always be number one. You know, Gambia High School, then you the solar, right? Yeah, then you the solar, but St. Augustine is really number one. So that's what I...
Thank you for your support.
My name is Martin Monday.
What did you graduate from St. Augustine?
I actually went to St. Augustine from 86 to 87 where I moved to England. So I only did about a year and a half. I was at one circle and I moved to two circle.
How do you see this event?
Sorry?
How do you see the event? How do you see the event?
Oh, this is good. I think it's my fourth time being here, so it's great. Always look forward to it. And it's nice to see people I haven't seen in years. So it's a great event. Always glad to be here.
What do you have to say to the community?
You know, keep going, keep pushing. Hope it keeps going bigger and bigger and hopefully expand to other countries because the schools in Gambia need a lot of help. So it's important that people come and patronize this event. Thank you.
Imam Bulwarek, or what I got to say, let me put the angle first. And it's a good thing that we're bringing these schools together to help our schools back home. And the schools need a lot of help back there. As you can see the pictures that are coming in and out. But anyway, Limbugada schools back home. So hopefully we'll have more people Japan there throughout the years to come when you raise funds for schools. So it's very important for education is in family make back home. So why let me get Thank you. All right.
Come on, let's get some life in the house. How are you feeling tonight? We're going to start this with a couple of entertainments. A couple of songs that I'm going to do for you. Welcome you to Atlanta. For those of you who are coming out of town and visiting our beautiful Atlanta. And of course, oh man, thank you very much. Mr. Tijan, Mastana Sise. I'm going to do a track from my CD called Covers, and I hope you're going to like it. I've been looking for a love like yours for a very long time. Now that you're here, honey, I've been looking for your love for such a long time. You make me feel so good inside. And now that you're here, I can feel this feeling deep inside. All over and over again. Baby, you are the one for me. And I am the one for you. Baby, you are the one for me, and I am the one for you. The way you jump, bring back this sweet feeling inside of me, baby. The under the touch makes me tingle all over and over again. You make me feel so right. I want you to know I'm gonna give you all the loving that you ever need. I really, really, really need it, babe. You are the one for me, and I am the one for you. Baby, you are the one for me, and I am the one for you. Baby, now people, how you feel? You love some reggae music?
Yes, sir.
Let me hear you say yeah.
Yeah.
What a nice stuff. Honey, I know I've been looking for your love for such a long time. You make me feel so good inside. I want you to know I'm gonna give you all the sweet loving you ever need. I really, really, really need it. You are the one for me, and I am one for me, and I am the one for you. Baby, you are the one for me. You are the oh gosh, and I am the one for me, my baby. Baby, you are the one for me. Lord have mercy, and I am the one for you.
Yes, yes, let's hear it for Brother Sherlock Lewis in the house.
One more track for you, this one from the man called Beres Hammond. You know Beres?
He was one of the few scientists that was called upon when the avian flu was it. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate our own, and deep down in my heart, I do know how so much he loves the country. I ask you to welcome our keynote speaker, an intellectual giant of high repute, Dr. Jara Jain.
Good evening, everyone. And I feel so old. Oh my God. I know some of you kids were born so much later after I left the Gambia. And, but I feel so happy to see all of you here talking about education and raising funds for schools in Gambia. I would like to thank the organizers, the All High School reunion and their committees for choosing me to grace the occasion. And you know you're old when you need reading glasses. So I would like to thank you for paying attention to education, adding to the efforts of so many other people in the Gambia. But as you just said, conditions are really deplorable. I visit Gambia quite often, and I sometimes go to some of the schools, and everything is just deteriorating. The buildings, the educational system, you talk to some of these young people, even some that go to the University of the Gambia, and I'm sometimes like, whoa, are you in the university? Someone got upset with me when I told him he needed to go back and take some English lessons because he wanted to come. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but English is not our language. I always try to fight against this. English is not our first language. We should actually be studying our native languages in school to include everyone. But since English is what we have, I think we need to learn it well. I personally have a great passion for education. And my younger sister and I, who you might know, Dr. Siga Jain, for the longest time we've had this kind of informal scholarship program that we run through my older sister, Remy. Since we both came to the US, we've been sponsoring a lot of young people through school. And it's very informal, and the reason both of us are so passionate about education is because of our mom. My mother never went to school, never set foot in a classroom, but she was so adamant that her children get the proper education, especially her daughters. She was just adamant about girls' education, and she seemed to have some crystal ball about what was going to happen in the world, that there was going to be a time when we could not, as women, depend on our husbands for our well-being. So she pushed us. She used to take us to the bookstores, take us to go and buy comics there was a comic book store on, I think it was on Hagan Street, and we just devoured those books. We went to the library, we read and read and read, to the point where we didn't even learn how to cook. So, you know, in Gambia, that's really bad. If you are a woman and you don't know how to cook, and my mom used to say, well, when you go to school, you can look at those cookbooks and learn how to cook. So, I believe that education is a basic human right. Even the UN believes that. They've included it in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The best way to ensure continued poverty is to have restricted access to education. And I think in many African countries, that's what we have. Not everyone has the access to good quality education, especially people that live in the rural areas. No one pays attention to them. I think also that the key to any country's growth and development is dependent on education. And I mean quality education, because just putting kids in school does not mean they're getting a quality education. Having good education increases a person's chances in life, including employment opportunities, better health, because they can read about the health care, they can read about what causes disease, and also it improves people's participation in the political process. I think having a good education also helps a country. It promotes stability, good governance, and peace. We have a lot of young people in Africa. Fast-growing populations everywhere, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. What are we going to be doing with these hordes of young people that don't have an education and they don't have any jobs? That is a recipe for disaster. We're going to see a lot of instability in Africa. I'm telling you, I just came back from Ghana about 2 weeks ago, and I was shocked because I was in Ghana 5 years ago. The population of young people I saw loitering around in the markets, and Ghana is supposed to be a country that has a very high rate of literacy. A lot of young people are going to school there, much more than in Gambia. But that is not the truth anymore. It doesn't seem like they can handle these huge populations of young people, and everyone is moving from the rural areas coming to Accra. I've heard some of the speeches made by the Ghanaian president, Akufo-Addo, and he seems to be on the right track. His high school education now is supposed to be free. It used to be very expensive. So for the public high schools, I mean not private, but public high schools in Ghana is now free, and he's kind of, doing some things, but when you talk to Ghanaians, they're not happy. They tell me, oh, he's just talking. But we really need leaders, good leaders, to be brave, that are going to be setting up great policies for education. And for example, in Gambia right now, I get a little bit confused about the educational system because it's a lot different from what I was used to, but I've looked it up, and more kids are going to preschool. This is what we used to call nursery school. And by the way, Tijan, you forgot to say that my first school was Mrs. Olandau's school. That was the first school that I started at 3 years of age. I was one of the pioneers of nursery school in Gambia. So preschool is very, very important. Research has shown that kids that go to preschool do very well. Later on in life, they do very well when they go to the primary level and all the way through high school. Even in the United States, they are pushing for preschool, that every kid should go to preschool. So preschool is very important. And then now in Gambia, we have this lower basic, what we call the lower basic years, which is 5 years. It's very similar to the old primary school. And then you have the upper basic, which is 3 years, or junior secondary. And at the end of that, these kids take this 9th grade exam. And then you go on to what is the secondary part, which is 4 years, and then they take the grade 12, I think grade 12 or something exam. So those who can afford it send their kids to Marina School and they take the A-levels later on after that. We do have some tertiary institutions. We have the University of the Gambia, we have GTTI and MDI, and there used to be another small institute called the Rural Development Institute. I don't know whether it's still functioning, because they used to train a lot of community workers, especially in agriculture, for extension. So I see a few changes. in our educational system, but it is largely the same British-style educational system you find in all the English-speaking countries in West and East Africa. It hasn't really changed much in many of these countries. It's still that mold, that British mold that was placed there for us to be civil servants. I think we have to be really revolutionary if we want to change our educational system. And it has to change because it's not working for our development needs. We need more than just train people to come back home and sit in an office with a shirt and a tie on, pushing a pen all day. We need people to be out there painting those houses that are being built all over in Gambia. Is there a paint company in Gambia? I always ask about that. That's probably one of the first businesses I will set up when I get back home. I want to really challenge some young people out there in Gambia. Set up a paint company, for goodness sake. Look at all those houses. It's a lot easier to paint nowadays. You just need a roller. You don't need a brush anymore. There are so many opportunities, I think, for our young people, but we need that basic education. And I think we also need to change our mindset and our attitudes about what education really is. I remember when I was in Gambia High School, there was a group of us girls, I think we were really cruel. We used to laugh at people who could not pronounce certain words, and we would write it down in an exercise book, and some of them got the name even of the pronunciation, and we kept calling them that name all throughout school. When I think about it now, I'm really ashamed of myself. Because we are really, how should I say it? We want people to be perfect in the way they speak English. We want people to sound very British. We spend hours and hours and hours and hours learning what is called oral English. I tell my kids about that all the time. I said, that was horrible. Why were they trying to change our accents? We speak Wolof, we speak Aku, we speak Mandinka. Why should anyone want to change our accents? I spent a lot of time trying to pronounce the word yurt. Yurt. Cricket. Cricket. No, it's cricket. But those are just really silly things that are part of our educational system. Instead of teaching our kids how to get out of school with skills, we're teaching them these things that have really no bearing on their future or on their lives. I also think very strongly that the first years of school, the primary school, I think we should be teaching our kids the local languages. Because English is a foreign language. Not only is it a foreign language, but do you know how difficult it is to think in someone else's language? I love Paul Kagame of Rwanda. This guy, we need 50-something more Paul Kagames, because he is really doing something in Africa that is revolutionary. And I can tell you what he did with Rwanda. After the genocide, they had to start from scratch with an educational system. Rwanda was under the French, so they had a French educational system, which is a lot more complicated than the British system. And Paul Kagame decided that Rwanda was going to have its own educational system. First of all, he decided that French was not going to be the only official language. He added English. And then from primary 1 to primary 6, everyone learns Kinyarwanda. Luckily, they have only one language. So there was no argument about what language are we going to use. But Senegal is going to start that very soon. They're going to teach the 3 main languages in elementary school. Because scientists, researchers have come and studied, and now they know that it is so important in Africa for young people to learn their own language. It helps them in elementary school. Who cares about speaking English? I work with a lot of Chinese and Japanese graduate students. They don't know how to speak English very well, and they come to do PhDs. And I don't see anyone putting them down for not speaking English. Sometimes they struggle a little bit, of course, to write their thesis, but they manage to do it, and the thesis has lots of mistakes, but it's that brain inside your head that's important, not the language that you're speaking. I know we all have kids here, they were born here, we don't have any choice. Our kids are going to be speaking English. But when I go to Gambia, and I go into a home in Gambia, and people are speaking English to their kids, like a Wolof person speaking English to their kids, a Mandinka speaking English to their kids, I get so upset. I'm sorry. They said, oh, your kids don't speak Wolof. They don't speak Wolof very well. Yeah, I understand that, but they were not born in the Gambia. If they were born in Gambia, they would be speaking Wolof. We all went to school speaking how many languages? We speak at home, English, Wolof, Aku, Mandinka, and then we go to school. And then we learn English, and we did it very well. So I am very passionate that language has a lot to do with some of our problems in Africa, but I'll continue. It's not all about gloom and doom, but I think we really need good policies coming from the education ministry in Gambia. We have to slowly start changing this educational system. We need to be producing people that have practical skills, that can go just out there and form a company, create new jobs. I don't think people really think about how well Gambia or any other African country is going to progress if each of us go back and start a little business. Why do we have to work for the government? When I hear people complaining that there's no government jobs, that they can't work for the government, I was like, why do you want to work for the government? You work for yourself, because you are the ones who should be going back, or those people in Gambia getting that higher education, they should be getting out and trying to think about creating jobs for other Gambians. There's this large population, I keep saying it, of young people that are not doing anything. And we need to change our thoughts about education. Education is not just about getting a string of degrees. If degrees could develop a country, Nigeria would be very developed. Because I know a lot of Nigerians who have like 3 or 4 degrees after their name. And right there in Nigeria. And they're not using that very well. If you have a degree in something and you don't know how to implement it and how to use it properly, what use is it? And people always go back and complain, oh, the government is not doing this. The government has not allowed me to do this. Why are you waiting for the government? I think we need to really change that mindset that the only good job is a government job. That was in the colonial days. That's over. During my trip to Ghana also, I like to bring these stories because this is real life. One of my colleagues, who's a veterinary doctor in Ghana, asked me to talk to the son. The son just finished university last year, did his national program in Ghana. Everyone who goes to university has to do a 1-year national program, and they post you somewhere in the rural areas or anywhere, depending on what your degree is in. And this young man has not had a job for a long time, since he finished his national service. So he asked me to talk with him. So we spent a whole day together. And I kept telling him, I said, look around you. We were driving around in Accra. I said, look around you. What do you think people need in Accra? He has a degree in land management and real estate. And I said, look at the people. What are they doing? He said, oh, they're eating. I said, thank you. Everyone has to get up every day and eat. What business can you think of that you can start right here in Accra? I know you want to make a lot of money, but you can also employ probably 20, 30 other young people like you if you start a fast food restaurant. I'm not talking about McDonald's, copying McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken. No, start a Ghanaian fast food restaurant. He said, you see that woman there selling kenke and fried fish? 20 people were lined up waiting to buy from her. I said, if you start a Ghanaian fast food restaurant, how good will that be? Then I took him. I was going to have my hair braided. And the lady who was going to braid my hair, I had met her 5 years before. And I heard that she was doing extremely well. So I said, I'm going to go back to see what she has done. I was amazed. And I took this young man with me. This woman, within 5 years, since the last time I met her, she was working in the veterinary service. Her husband is a veterinary doctor. And she had asked the veterinary service to allow her a space where she could braid hair. She started braiding hair. Then she started taking in students who were paying her to teach them how to braid hair. I was so impressed when I got there this time. This woman, from braiding hair, has expanded into other businesses. She goes to China once or twice a month. She's now selling furniture, she's doing other things, but she still braids hair. She had built these two humongous houses. One is a home for her and her family, and the other one, I swear, the salon is as big as this hall. And she had station after station after station. When I went to have my hair done, there were clearly more than 50 people sitting there having their hair done. And this woman did not have a degree. She had a good business sense. She's employing a lot of young women. She's still doing her school. People are still going there, paying her to teach them how to braid. So in just 5 years, she has expanded from braiding under a tree and a canopy to now owning this huge salon. So I showed this young man, I said, don't you think you can open a salon too? Do you have to be a woman to open a salon? You will open a salon and hire other people to braid for you. So whenever I go to Africa, I'm just brimming with ideas. I cannot wait, I'll tell you the truth. My son is going to be a senior this year, my last one. I have to be a little bit mindful of my family too, but I see so many opportunities in Africa and they have nothing to do with the government. I think private companies should also help with education, because private companies can create chances for young people to be trained in many, many, many different fields. I've heard of fertilizer companies, for example, food companies in India, and they create technical schools to train their workers. So we need to talk to the people that are starting businesses also, who have established businesses in Gambia. They can contribute towards education. They shouldn't leave everything with the government. Here, unqualified teachers, the word unqualified teacher in Gambia, I cringe. We have so many of them. A lot of our kids are being taught by so-called unqualified teachers. So the University of the Gambia needs to really work hard on improving the teacher training college, which I don't know is still under Gambia College or whether it's still under University of the Gambia, but we need more trained teachers. We have to plan for that increasing population. When I was growing up, I think Gambia was like 500,000 people. It's now 2 million. But we seem to just wait and wait and wait until things become too much. Just like the electricity. We could not sit and think that we were going to have an increase in population, increase in houses, increase in demand. So we're still using the same old generators. We need to plan ahead. There's a lot of young kids out there, and they need to have skills. Not everyone can go to a university. Not everyone can get a bachelor's or a PhD. But I just dream of a day when education in Gambia is not going to be a novelty anymore. When everyone has access to the same or similar quotes by Nelson Mandela. He had a lot of quotes about education, let me tell you. But he says the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world is education. And we see all the countries that have done it. China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore. These Asian countries hold the key to development. They've cracked the code. And how did they crack the code? Education was number one. Thank you very much.
Dr. Jarajai to please come forward and hand over these awards for us very kindly. The first award that we'll give out, I hope I don't get the doctor emotional, but it is a Leadership and Excellence Award posthumously awarded to the late James J. Ndau, RIP, first Gambian principal of the Gambia High School, in recognition of his valuable contribution to the development of the school, his dedication and commitment to the advancement of his students, his undisputed excellent leadership qualities as the principal of the school, his personal devotion to the development of all his students, and above all, for all the sacrifices he made on behalf of the Gambia High School and Gambian education. A grateful branch are proud to celebrate this legend with his family, and we have two of his sons and his daughter-in-law in the house tonight, and I call on my brothers John, Emmanuel, and Mrs. Marlon Dow to receive this award that we posthumously present to their dad, who also you served as head girl of the Gambia High School. The next award is an appreciation award posthumously awarded to the late Adolf Jasmatu, head of the Science Department, Gambia High School, 1980s, in recognition of his valuable contribution to the development of the school, his dedication and commitment to the advancement of his students, his undisputed excellent leadership qualities as head of the Science Department of the school, and for his personal devotion to the development of all his students. And I call on Alaji Mahmoud Injai to receive this award. The next award is all-time greatest female athlete award, and what a beauty. I had an opportunity to cover her. Posthumously awarded to Madi Silla in recognition of her outstanding contribution to the Gambia Muslim High School and the Gambia national female basketball team as a dominant center in the West African sub-region, and also for her great leadership. I have a niece here who's never seen money in her lifetime, And tonight she gets to receive the award on behalf of Barnett Silla, Miss Cordell Silla. Two went to Gambia High School, one to the Muslim High School. Now you know where this one is going. Academic Excellence Award, posthumously awarded to the late Abdurrahman Draman Toure in recognition of his strong standing as an academic during his lifetime, for his commendable achievements in academia both in and out of the Gambia, for his devotion to the advancement of modern technology in the Gambia and his commitment to youth empowerment. Above all, for his determination to go above and beyond for his alma mater and all those he came in contact with, gone too soon, but his memory and deeds will last for a generation. Familia ante omnia, always family. Ladies and gentlemen, I call on his best friend, Mr. Lamin Toure, to receive this award. Draman's wife and family has sent a word through Lamin, and take it away.
And say this for the family. Draman and I have been friends. The last time I saw him in the Gambia, in September, we tried to remember when we actually first met. We couldn't point it out. We just felt like we've known each other as far back as we can. We took a walk on the beach at night. Me and him and one of our friends, Yusuf Anjay, we were called Three Amigos in St. Augustine's High School. We got in a lot of trouble together, but we know when to turn it off and actually do work, schoolwork. He has been an inspiration for me during our high school, and we promised each other that since primary one that we're not gonna leave each other behind. We went to sixth form together, and remember going to high school, studying at MDI every day. Rahman will pick us up and take us to the MDI for studies. And he always tells us, boy, let's focus. I mean, we can do our jokes, we can play, but let's spend time and study. He motivated us, both of us. Now we all have our families, we're doing okay in our lives. And my last conversation with Rahman, and I'll tell you guys, was that when the Similex case happened, and I read it on the news, and I decided to give him a call because I knew exactly how he was feeling. And I know, for being a friend with him for so long, I know what pumps him up, what actually makes him happy. Send him a message, I'm like, hey boy, call me if you have a chance. He called me, and I told him that I saw the news, and I went through a few jokes with him. By the end of the day, when we were off the phone, he was laughing, he was joking, and was very happy. Then right after that, he sent me a text. And I still have the text. He said, I really, really appreciate you in my life, my friend. Thank you for being a friend. And the first time forever, he told me, I love you. And I didn't know that was going to be the last time I talked to him. A few weeks later, I got this call from Nyanya very early in the morning that Rahman has a stroke. It killed me. And since that day, I've been thinking about this guy since he passed. There isn't a single day that I haven't thought about him. Nyanya, Rahman's wife, the best person I've ever met in my life. Very supportive, very strong woman. And Hassan, Birul Hassan, Princess, this is for Baba. And Nyanya, we love you. Nene Jari, the mother, the brother Hassan, we're with you on this. And thank you very much and appreciate this.
Hey, tajulan.